Hello, true duelists. My name's Craig Fee, and as always, welcome to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Update. After almost a solid month straight of YCSs and other such big events, we now get to enter the long pause. Or long wait, I don't know what the lower third says, one of the two. Either way, it's what I'm referring to as the couple of weeks where there won't be a big event. The next event will be YCS Bologna in December, taking place in Italy, or Bologna. As long as it's not Bologna, am I right, Italians? Hope so. Either way, until then, we get to take a look at some regionals. To no shock, this past weekend's regional tops were mostly the same for what we know of the format. Crazy how no new cards will do that. Rescue Ace, Unchained, Tier Lament, a bit of Pearly, and an Infernoble top or two. Heck, you've got the casual lower tier class of Chimera, Labyrinth, and Manatium as well. Yeah, like I said, the current format. But there is at least a somewhat notable rise in play from that Acid Golem Swap Turbo deck people are just calling Mekenko, but sure, why not? So if you want to look forward to not being able to play, there is a new deck on town to let you do exactly that. And it's also been an interesting look to see the rise of what sort of decks are opting to play that new Horus engine from Age of Overlord. Even Phantom Knight decks are starting to tech it in. That's not really a surprise at all to see. Phantom Knight is an absolute slut of an archetype, and if there's even a chance that an archetype or deck will have graveyard synergy, someone's going to pair Phantom Knight with it. That's just what happens, because Phantom Knight's in the graveyard. What else needs to be said? Phantom Knight players have even taken into throwing not just a Horus, but also continuing to play the Adventure engine, which can make for some truly impressive end boards, I'm sure. The only thing that's really more impressive than these is the fact that we're drawing Duamutef, butchered that one, and of course Griffin Rider, all in the opening hand constantly. Yeah, that's right, it's the same joke I always make about Phantom Knight, but you need to understand, I play Phantom Knight, and I get those hands, and I hate them. And that's why every time you see someone hyping up how Phantom Knight is super secret, actually the best deck of the format, Garnet Turbo is called such for a reason, my friends, and that's the reason that it will not get much higher than regional tops. But this coming weekend, we'll have one thing to shake up the meta, and that is of course the release of Valiant Smashers. Yes, that's right, one more set dropping to continue the trend of far too many sets coming to your local game shops to, prevent them from realistically making money on the game, and that brings with it the usual discussion of what are you doing, Konami, please just slow down for a minute. But more importantly, more casually, there's of course the new potential meta deck, Centurion. Or Center Ion. Love that hyphen there. Who needs, flow in your sentence when you can just put hyphens and shit? This new Synchro deck can make easy access and abuse to level 12s more than anything, but it does have some ample access to rank 4s or level 8 Synchros if you should so choose. Of course, that's all being said dancing around the fear that this deck brings with it, and that is of course the Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity. And I forgot the word hot at the beginning of that card's name, but I don't care, because you just spam that card out on the opponent's turn and make sure that they don't get to play, and it's all done with the greatest of ease. Although, whether or not it will be enough to make a huge impact is up to some debate, you might say. I've heard a good amount of hype in this deck, and I've heard a lot of, good expectations from it. The general consensus seems to be that it's all but assured to be a tiered threat. I've heard it referred to as a Sword Soul type deck, but with 1-card combos instead of 2, which if that is truly the case, it's going to be a solid deck. I have no doubts in that regard. My gut guess, however, is that far too many people are going to hear that it's good and then tunnel into the King Calamity play, which would result in the deck doing a little less well than it maybe should. I can only assume that there are other people out there as stupid as I am, is what I'm getting here with that. I expect it to top. I am curious to see how well it's going to do in the grand scheme of the meta, because like I said, if people one-trick that, it's going to be easy enough to expect an out for that one trick. Regardless, where it falls on the Vanquished Soul scale is yet to be seen and will be determined this weekend, although if you're wondering where it falls on the Vanquished Soul scale of card rarity, not far behind. In Master Duel news for the world at large, the Ritual event is taking place. This exciting event encourages you to Ritual Summon and offers a grand total of 800 gems as reward for completing your tasks in it. You just have to put up with Drytron the entire time, and I can assure you that is worth it. And of course, there was another round of MBT's Master Circuit Series, won out once again by not a meta threat like Pearly or Kashtira like one might expect, but again by more of a rogue tiered option. This time around, player I Wish I Was Dead won out with a Cybers deck. Adignister, to be a little more specific, with the new Master Duel, or new to Master Duel, I should say, Firewall Singularity Dragon. Yugioh Pro deck, of course, lists this as a Mathmech deck, which is really just the absolute state of Cybers, isn't it? Because there's 15 Adignister cards in this deck and 7 Mathmech ones, but when 3 of those Mathmech cards are circular, that's the only thing that matters. Still, a huge congrats as always to I Wish I Was Dead for beating out that Pearly deck with that Tech Din Shadal engine that got second, because what the fuck was that guy on? How wild is that shit? Pretty wild. The next YCS, oh, that's not the right term, the next MCS will take place on the 25th of November with signups going live on the MCS Twitter account on the 22nd at 5 p.m. EST as always. And that's of course the last chance for the open events, because after that is the MCS Invitational featuring only the top 16 players from these past 4 events. Exciting stuff. Konami has also announced the Phantom Nightmare premiere. That's right, in 3 months' time, there will again be a sneak peek for the new core set. You know, just like there always has been for like a decade at least, if not 2. But there is news here, because the ultra rare print of Goblin Biker Grand Entrance is your special ultra rare premiere card. The Rhoda for the new Goblin archetype, which is notable because the ultra rare preview card has always been a secret rare in the past number of reveal sets. So, the last time it was Duamutef. It was one of the Horus cards. Either way, if you're looking for a chance to get one of the 10 secrets before access to the secrets, that's something. This is also notable for 2 reasons that are really kind of just one. The first being because every single time I see one of these posts 3 months in advance, I can't help but think of when they were teasing, I believe it was Age of Overlord, and everyone was like, where the fuck is the ban list? And the second reason is because that's the topic of the next segment. Oh man, it's like I planned it. What a segue. That's right, it's been a few months, so you know what that means. We got early ban list talk predictions. People saying what they want back, people saying what they want gone, and of course no fucking clue as to when any of this might actually happen. Now, that's not to say that there is an incredible need for a ban list currently, just that there's usually a ban list in and around December to February and March. Just give myself 4 months of coverage there, just brilliant. At some point in time, there will be a ban list. The point I'm making here is that the format isn't really especially unhealthy, and there are a number of people who really appreciate and love how diverse it is. There's definitely an opportunity to clown on Pack here a little, I'm sure, but I'm choosing to be the bigger man. By the bigger man, I mean I didn't write a joke for it, so I'm not going to bother winging it. Because taking a look at the format, what do we got? We got some hits to tour guide, maybe, to kind of slap Unchained on the wrist. Unchained doesn't feel phenomenally broken, nor does Rescue Ace for as good as it is. Like maybe an emergency semi-limit or limit to like emergency or hydrant type thing. I don't know. How do you hit that deck meaningfully without killing it? Of course, there's, you know, preference bans. I'll use the term. Calamity being banned would be nice because no one really wants to deal with that shit. Banning the Ishizu Millers would probably be appreciated. We're the only region left with them, so that'll probably happen at some point, right? Or you can ban Prosperity, because that shit's a hell of a card. Am I going to be heartbroken if any of these changes do or don't happen? No, but some light shakeups to the top tiers or bans that we've all just been itching for, like Isold, wouldn't really be a bad thing. And I say that as someone with an In for Noble Knight deck, because Isold deserved a ban years ago, and if anyone even tries to say anything otherwise, don't listen to them, because they're just an idiot. Still, it's an interesting discussion as always, and that means that we're just weeks away from people not only demanding a ban list, but simultaneously the same number of people demanding that we all shut up about it because we don't need one because the format's super secret good, and then the same number of people as that saying super secret, the format's bad and we need one now. So it's just going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Twitter.com was not a mistake, and I'm moving on. And in some community news, there's 2 quick things to cover. Competitive player and, oh yeah, TCG World Champion Paulie Aronson has been banned from competitive play. Yeah, no joke. Paulie got hit by the 6-month train, and by that I mean he's no longer able to play at official sanctioned tournaments for 6 months, be it YCS's regionals or even just an OTS Storm locals. He admits to having committed the greatest of sins, the accidental oopsie daisy. This is something that happened while attending a remote Duel regional, where he registered the wrong deck list in round 1 and then realized it, so he dropped out, and then took the loss in round 1, but re-registered with the appropriate deck list for round 2 and figured, well, it counts as a loss, we're good to go, let's get the games going. And then super secret, you cannot do that. And by super secret, I mean blatant in the policy document, wherein it outright states you are not allowed to deregister and re-register from the same event simply to change a deck list. That is not a legal thing you can do. It's pretty explicitly said. So, and on one hand, you can't really blame Konami for enforcing a policy. Paulie handled it like a champ, fittingly enough. And, he admitted, I made the mistake. It's against policy. My bad. It's 6 months. This isn't the end of the world, or even his end of the run at Worlds, because he can still attend World Championships, because in 6 months' time, that's before Worlds. So he's safe in that regard. It's just a bit of a, shucks. You know what I'm saying? It's a bit of a darn. It's a bit of a, gah. Like, it sucks, especially for him. I'm not going to pretend I'm particularly emotionally involved in this, but it's kind of just like a dud move. Like, to my knowledge, that's Paulie's first serious infraction. Again, not heavily invested, but maybe this could have used like a warning of sorts, more of a slap on the wrist, a la what happened to Pearly a few ban lists ago, instead of, just going full force and banning the guy, especially the world champion. But hey, you know what? We can take this as some solace that they aren't really playing favorites currently. That's something to run away with, right? It's about all I've got. I mean, personally, I kind of respect the aggressiveness as Konami. As someone who has before used this gun to emphasize a point in videos, I can have a hearty amount of respect for needless aggression, and that's a joke. I don't at all. I really don't understand why they banned him. I just wanted an excuse to validate the purchase of this piece of shit. So that's all that was, and really that's all that is. Paulie's banned, and it'll be 6 months, but it's okay. You now have a marginally slightly better chance at winning an event he might have otherwise gone to. So take that shit and run, kids. You got 6 months. And one last bit of news before we wrap it up. A huge congratulations to Farfa, the Yugi tuber, the streamer, and now the father, because that's a horrifying trio of titles in one sense, but it's, in all honesty, a huge congrats to him. That's a well-earned win for one of the best in the community. So feel free to show him some love, and I'm not really gonna meme on this because it's just a cool and good thing. So congrats, Farfa. You love to see it. You love to see it. So that'll wrap it up for this week's update. Shoutouts, as always, go to the LIFD magnetic display, the best way to support my channel and the true Duelist-approved way to show off your favorite cards. Like with these things, because when you're gonna have this many bricks, you may as well make a wall out of them, shouldn't you? Haha, Phantom Knight jokes. Whatever you want to display, do it your way with promo code YGOSTRATS15 to get 15% off for one of these bad boys. Thank you, of course, to LIFD for the sponsorship as always, and thank you for watching. And so that wraps it up for the update. As always, I've been your host, Craig Fee. This has been the new guy. Get it? It's not Marsh Tomp. He's on sabbatical. I'm kidding. He's just taking a break this week. Get it? He's sentient. He's not a hand puppet. So instead, we got the Croaky Froaky, and that's right, because we're changing that. It's totally news now. It's not going to be the Yu-Gi-Oh update. It's going to be totally news. Welcome, guys, to Totally News, or something. Or it won't. I'll forget about this within like 3 minutes. I don't care, but I do care to ask you to subscribe. So please do that, and you can immediately impress your smoking Italian wife, and of course, become a true duelist.